Hello, you are listening to and or watching What's the Tea? My name is Lydia.
My name's Andy.
And basically, we are two former support workers catching up with each other and navigating life over a cuppa. Andy, you've got some weird concoction of a drink. I've got my coffee here.
I mean, I've also got a Diet Coke as well.
Okay,
So kind of...
I was going to say, yeah, that's more like you, Andy. We are not experts, though, at all. You should constantly see me and Andy messaging each other, trying to... Well, it's mainly me trying to get...
I want you to say not experts. She means not experts at navigating through adulting life, not at drinking Diet Coke or making hot drinks or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. True. I can drink plenty of cups of coffee with no assistance needed.
In a moment, we're going to be casting the spotlight on ourselves a little bit and ask the question that we normally ask guests that we have in. What advice would you share to your younger self? We also have some feedback that we've received from people that we're also going to share. But before we do that, let's have a quick chat. We are remote today. So anything could happen.
Yeah, we are remote because one, Andy is a little bit sick, so he's trying to rest.
I'm a little bit poorly.
Yeah. For me, I currently have my parents' dog for 10 days. So she can't be left on her own too long because leaving a dog for a full day is not great.
Is it just the dog you've got there?
No, I also have a cat, Wanda, as many of you will know if you've listened to episodes or watched our episodes before. So this is currently behind my screen is just pure chaos with the dog, who is a golden retriever. Some of you would have met Bonnie in another episode, and my cat Wanda chasing each other and causing disturbance. So this could potentially go all awry.
It sounds very Tom and Jerry-esque happening all around you. And you're like this kind of beacon of peace and calmness around the cartoon-style violence.
Well, to be fair, like you get is it ducks or swans? And they're all like coasting on the water and then underneath their feet are going. That is me right now. Internally, I'm like, this is just too much. But on the outside, for you dedicated listeners and watchers, I'm going to be a pro and just present calm in this episode. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
So you've heard it here first. Lydia's going to be calm throughout this episode.
Yeah.
I'm also going on holiday soon as well, just to really kind of add to the mix of recording and stuff. I am blaming half term.
That's
particularly 2-week half terms.
Yeah. I don't think I ever had a 2-week half term.
I feel like it's a comparatively new thing.
Yeah.
Great.
I feel like we've missed out, Andy.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, the autumn term used to be known as being the long school term, and now it's like, oh, there's a nice long break halfway through, which is nice. I think, especially when it gets darker and stuff.
Yeah. I've just realised I forgot to put my background back on, so I'm going to do that now.
I just wasn't sure what year. I was like...
I just like this. It's just a bit better than just seeing the back of my sofa.
I've got Sonic.
Yeah.
Your
setup just looked very good, but I don't have a setup like that, so I have to rely on these kind of things.
Nah, fair play. So, shall we crack on with the feedback we've received?
Yeah, let's go. I haven't seen this feedback, I don't think.
Have you not?
No.
No, you did.
I don't know. I'm going to click it. Is it going to ruin something if I click it?
Possibly, but we'll deal with it as turn on.
Yes. Sorry, this one. Yes, we did. Yes, I did know this. Yes.
I was like, you talked to me about this feedback. It's like you messaged me. I was like, all right.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Shall I read out the message that we received.
Yes.
So this was in relation to kind of juggling our well-being, our mental health, whilst working. So this is all in relation to that episode.
Hmm.
Um, as someone with ADHD who struggles with mental health over long periods of monotonous work, including study, uh, and I guess monotonous doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing. It's just the same thing, like over a period of time.
Yep.
Um, the advice is to take frequent breaks, even if only for 30 seconds or a minute. Try to meditate whilst taking of a break. Get all the thoughts bar one out of your head. Clear your mind, particularly between tasks. Listen to music if you can. Find enjoyment in the small things. Microcosms of perfection. Like that word. Um, Places you can make beautiful with little work, particularly in retail or service jobs. And lastly, take care of your co-workers. I love that.
I love that.
If everyone did this, imagine how much better of a world would live in. Anything from making a cup of tea to lightening their workload. No matter if seen or unseen, I think kindness generally precipitates its own reward, even when invisible to anyone but yourself.
I love that. And I'm so glad you read that because I wouldn't have been able to read half of those words. So thank you.
Thank you.
No, I like that. And I think I totally agree with that last kind of statement about, take care of your co-workers. If everyone
Mm.
did this, what a better, how much better of a world we live in. And I think that's so true. Like kindness can go a long way. And I think sometimes if you're experiencing, struggles, you can get quite down in those struggles. And if someone is just like going, how can I help you? And just do something, um, just for the sake of being kind, I think that can go a long way in that person's recovery as well. So I really like
Mm.
that. Really like that.
And we've also received a link to a podcast called The Mindset Mentor. Um, I've not listened to it myself, but the person who shared it obviously did, and obviously finds it helpful. So I'll share that in the notes below.
Yeah, I always like love hearing about other podcasts. I do like a good podcast. I quite like the comedy ones more so.
Mm.
But I do like, for example, like Diary of the CEO. I find those really fascinating. So I'm excited to add this to my watch list and my listening list. And yeah, just learn from it and grow. So thank you for that recommendation.
And I'm sorry to anyone who's watching this, watching me taking lots of swigs of drink right now. I'm very aware my throat's slowly kind of going kind of drier and drier, particularly after reading that Spear of the House. So we'll see where this goes.
Yeah. So, Andy,
Yes.
we're moving into our main segment, I'm assuming now.
Yes.
As you can see, we don't rehearse this. So
Not
have
really.
you ever, so
Maybe we're in for fun.
I think they know it's not rehearsed. Um, so we've had a few already, other colleagues and staff, on the podcast, and we've asked them quite a lot of
Hmm.
questions. And one of those questions, that we have asked them is, what advice would you give to your younger self? And I love this question because I love a bit of self-reflection. So, Andy, I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give to your younger self?
So you say that you love a bit of self reflection.
Mm.
I'm sure I struggle to even get the word self reflection out. I, I'm not a fan of it. I don't know why. Um, so I had to like proper kind of sit down and kind of think this one through and think
Mm.
about what I would say, and what I'd want to say on here and all that sort of stuff. And I think so. So that's one point.
Oh.
Um, I think there is so much that I would say, but there's also so much I wouldn't. And the reason for that is because a lot of the choices that we make in life and a lot of the things that go down kind of contribute to where we are now. And so you've kind of got to. So it's always a bit of interesting exercise, kind of
Yeah.
looking at all that sort of stuff. But if I had to,
You do, because this is a whole episode, so yes, you do.
I would say something like to do the thing. You might need to chase the thing.
Okay.
You that you might, and that might look like needing to find time to kind of work on the thing you want to be working on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you might need to kind of do that in order to make the thing happen. The thing could be any sort of creative, or even kind of employment thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it might be to go back to school, it might be to go to uni, it might be to do a course, it might just be to practice doing something. Um, but you might need to kind of invest in the time to make that thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
But also to be okay with the thing being a little bit rubbish right at the start.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Yeah. No, I agree, and I think it was Jeremy in our episode that said he wouldn't necessarily give himself any advice as younger self because
Mm,
there's no point living in regrets because everything that's happened in his life has led to where he is now. And you kind of echoed for something very similar. And I 100% agree. Like, I think about all the things that I've done or didn't do, and, it very much has contributed to the individual I am today and, where I am in terms of life, in terms of my friends, and my faith, my job. And, you know, isn't there like a movie or something where people go back in time and they change something and then well
the
it's not
butterfly effect.
that's it, yeah. And then like things don't necessarily end up the way they should be and they end up being more miserable even though they've got everything that they wanted, etc. And I definitely think that like I'd never want the opportunity to go back and change anything and I don't have any regrets. I think in terms of just being a helpful tool for someone, maybe just hearing someone that's a bit older and has lived life a little bit longer and hearing that kind of reflection of what advice would I give to my younger self. I love that in terms of an exercise and also like to learn from it as well. Like
Mm,
what advice would you give to your younger self? Like what would you change at a younger self, even though it's led to who we are now, just so then we can grow and adapt. And there's a few things for me. And one of them is just like not caring what other people think. I think I spent so
yeah.
much time of my younger life, my teens, my early 20s, my 20s, etc.,
Mm,
just worrying about what other people think of me. Like, wearing this outfit, going to this event, and then not going to this event, worried about what people would think.
mm,
When I became a Christian and I found my faith, worrying about
mm,
what other people think about my faith and, judging me and things like that. And, it's exhausting constantly
mm,
thinking about what other people think and pleasing everyone. And I think one thing that really has helped me as I've got older, I care less now about what other people think. I still think it's good to be mindful of what other people, how you present yourself. Like you don't want people seeing the worst version of yourself and always having that in your mindset of how I'm presenting myself, especially when you work for an organization and you become, you know, the face of it or you're representing your organization. You have to think like that in order to to
yeah.
to, to not get fired.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of, just the amount of energy I spent and opportunities I think I missed as a result of worrying about what other people think. And I was, the number of people that I speak to, they're all worried about what other people think.
Yeah.
So here I am thinking, oh, what's this,
Mm,
what's Bob going to think of me for doing this?
mm,
Bob is thinking the exact same thing about me. So why are we all worried about what other people think about one another? Because we're not actually making judgments of one another. We're all thinking and worrying about what the other person thinks. Um, and just the amount of enjoyment I've had out of life in the last few years, worrying less about what people think of me, how I look, my faith, everything has just allowed me to be more confident as a person.
mm,
I would never have done my podcast 5 or however many years ago, as you know, Andy, knowing
Mm.
me for nearly 9 years, um, yeah, just the thought of me being on camera and how what do people think about what I've got to say, what advice, how I look or whatever. I don't care now. I
Mm.
enjoy doing the podcast. I think it's been a great thing that we've created, and this is not me bigging us up and causing us to have a massive ego, but just the community. Shut up, Andy. But I just think the community that we've built through
Mm.
What's the Tea, and some of the brands reaching out to us to say thanks for sharing, like
Mm.
those amazing opportunities. If I carried on worrying about what other people would think,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done this, and this
Mm.
opportunity would have passed us by. And I think a lot of people would miss out on what we have to say, not thinking that we're amazing or anything like that,
Mm.
but just in terms of the community and some of the advice that we've learned and how we've grown as individuals from what people have shared with us. Um, so yeah, I think care less what people think because they don't care because they're worrying exactly the same thing. Um, and if they don't like who you are or they're judging you on how you look, then they're not a person that you want in your life. Because they're not caring about who you are as a person and loving you how we've been created or intended to be. This got a lot deeper than I anticipated, so I apologize. And then the second thing is on the back of our last episodes,
Mm.
is prioritizing my mental health. I wish I'd done that a lot more at a younger age, just like
Yeah.
with the pressures of society, studying,
Mm.
family expectations, work expectations. I have had, you know, some bouts with difficulties managing my mental health and having some times, I've had to step away from certain things because my mental health's not been great. Um, and I would have never shared that during the times that I went through it on a
Yeah.
platform like this. But again, I think it's helpful for people to realize that us as support workers, if you go to supported accommodation or you work with other professionals, we are human beings. Like we have our own struggles as well. And we are never thinking that we are better than the people that we serve and that we
Yeah.
help. And again, caring less about what other people think, I'm sure again.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, just I think prioritizing mental health, and not putting yourself at the bottom of your priority list,
Yeah.
has again in the last few years, I don't know what's happened, but I've just changed a lot of my mentality. Um, Now I'm like, actually, that's not good for my mental health, so I'm not going to do that. Or
Mm.
I need a break because I'm feeling burnout. Or
Yeah.
actually, I'm going to cancel this meeting with a friend because I need a day of doing nothing and
Yeah.
just being by myself. Um, and just prioritizing that because I don't want to end up in a place that I was several years ago, for
Mm.
example, where it wasn't a great time for me. Um, and I think we are all guilty, I think, a lot of the time as society is neglecting ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, because we're trying to either prioritize other people, prioritize society's expectations on us of what we need to achieve, etc. And it's just like, actually, you do you and prioritize your mental health because you know no one's going to be able to help you because they're not in your brain. So do it first and avoid all of the heartache that comes with not looking after your mental health.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, yeah, I think just gonna talk over that. Uh, there's very much something about finding your tribe.
Mm.
So if someone acts or talks like they're judging you, it could be a case that they just don't understand it and they don't understand why you might be choosing or why you might be talking about a certain interest or whatever. Um, the chances are someone out there
Mm.
might do.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was quite a tomboy growing up, so
Mm.
I think I was the son my dad didn't have because I've got
Hey.
sisters. Um, and then I changed because I was like, oh, society thinks that this is how a
Yeah.
woman should be and a female. And I grew up with my dad, like, well, I grew up with both my parents and my family, but with my dad, like gaming with him, loving sport, not caring in that sense.
Mm.
And I've really embraced that back because I think also like growing up, I was just like, if you can hear banging, that is because my cat and dog are chasing in the background. I apologize.
Amazing. Tom and Jerry-esqueness all the way.
Someone's crashed into something. It's all chaos.
Mm.
Um, but like I didn't think that girls gamed, and I loved gaming, and I got into Twitch streaming and watching
Mm.
people play video games and things like that. And now I think, this is again a real soppy moment, but I think thanks to you, Andy, and our friend Chris, who we work
Mm.
with, of just being like, no, you can game. Like that's amazing that you game. Like there's a whole thing. And now I'm in my gaming era of like playing, Hogwarts Legacy, Red Dead Redemption 2, all of those things. And I wouldn't have done that.
Red Dead Redemption 2, awesome game.
So beautiful. I do accidentally, this is a side note, when you go up to people and you press L2 to speak, I always get confused with my R2 and accidentally shoot them. And I'm like, oh, I'm not talking to you now. I'm like, oopsie. But yeah,
I unleashed so much chaos over the weekend when I jumped back
I
to
know.
Dead for the first time.
Um,
Anyway.
yeah, but like finding your tribe, for example,
Mm.
like I found my tribe in you and Chris. So now I'm like embracing the things that I love, which in turn, it's really great for my mental health, just
Yeah.
gaming and just switching off. And, so I 100% agree with basically, it's a very long-winded way of me saying I agree with you, Andy.
On one last note, before we jump into weird news, 48% of gamers are females.
I know it's crazy. I just don't think I was ever surrounded by that community, or if I was, again, they were hiding it because they didn't think that's what a female should be. And I think I talked about this previously in the podcast, loving rugby. I've got really into rugby. It's something me and my dad are bonding over.
Mm.
Thanks to the Women's Rugby World Cup. Now to the point where me and my dad are having conversations about Exeter Chiefs on the weekend. Sorry if you don't support Exeter Chiefs. I'm a huge Exeter Chiefs fan. And the latest game on the weekend. And I love seeing the highlights and watching the game. And I'm back to loving sport again. So
And one day soon, we'll have Lydia's Rugby podcast.
I am not an expert, so I don't think that's ever going to happen. But if any of the women's rugby ladies want to come and join us on What's the Tea?
I don't think that's ever going to happen. I had a conversation very much like that with my boss at the time about streaming and doing stuff in front of the camera. About 5.5-ish years ago. And
in what sense, saying like you want to do it or you don't?
that I didn't want to do it, that I wasn't going to be in front of the camera. And then along comes COVID.
And that was just you, like
Yeah.
that was just your role.
Yeah.
I think you're great at it, Andy, and
I think my boss occasionally remembers that and just smiles to himself.
Well, also because I think you've done a podcast before this that's on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You've got this one. There's more stuff lined up in terms of projects, which is going to involve you being in the camera more. So Andy is just trying to dominate the streaming and podcast world.
YMCA Exeter Podcast Network. On that accidental announcement, now it's time for weird news.
Got your coffee, got your shoes. It's time to dive into the weird.
Now, weird news. Lydia, have you ever gone to a public toilet and looked around and thought to yourself, this would make a good hotel?
And I don't like public toilets, and I try and avoid them at all cost, and I try and plan my stops in places. So no, just because they're very germy.
All very sensible answers to what I just said. To the crazy question that I just said, that was
I've never
the most sensible answer.
Yeah, I've never gone, oh, this could be a hotel. I'd happily sleep here.
Well, some person obviously has. In a Victorian public toilet that had been closed for 17 years has reopened as a boutique hotel.
How?
I don't know. They basically brought the toilets, and I mean it's a 2-room hotel. It's not a big
Oh,
thing at all. So basically, you've got this really tiny hotel underground. I'm gonna say, if not the centre of Oxford, as good as the centre of Oxford.
okay.
Someone who doesn't live or has ever been to Oxford. From the looks of Google Maps, it's not far in at all. And yeah, it's basically an underground hotel where a public toilet once was. Um, it was originally built in 1895 before closing in 2008 over safety concerns. And yeah, apparently, I guess the safety concerns have been yeah,
Yeah.
worked out, and it's become a hotel for you to sleep in.
It looks really nice, and it is in the centre of Oxford. It says that.
Oh, excellent.
Um, look really nice. Obviously, there's no windows, but they've done it in a very retro style.
You would not think it used to be a toilet. Well, no, apparently there's some tiles and things like that. Apparently they've kind of kept some of the old
Yeah, in the
pieces.
bathroom. I think it's in the old bathroom by the looks of things.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense, reuse it. But I like that, repurposing something so it's not going to waste.
Totally.
Yeah, let's have a look. I'm just going to see, like, is it one of these ones where they just make it like obscenely expensive because it's like one of these boutique things?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but
Um, yeah, I think it's like £200 a night.
oh,
Mm,
wow.
yeah, so, but it does look really nice. It does look fancy.
I mean,
Anyway,
yeah,
I,
right.
I, do you know
It's an
what?
experience.
I said I don't like public toilets. However, looking at that hotel looks lovely. I would stay there.
There you
So
go.
there you go. There you go. Would stay in a public toilet that hadn't been redecorated as a hotel, but that looks very lovely. Not too. I don't think I'd do it as £200 a night though. Anyway, my one is a very different article to yours, Andy. Have you kind of ate some foods and just thought, oh my goodness, I feel like I have overdosed on carrots or I've overdosed on chocolate?
I've never ever considered like having too much carrots.
Yeah. So a lorry driver from Yorkshire
Okay.
ended up in hospital after he overdosed, quotation marks,
Mm.
on a massive 3 kilogram catering pack of Haribo's cola bottle sweets due to a sudden craving. Now, just before I go further in,
Okay.
Haribo's cola bottles are my favourite, so I can understand a 3 kilogram bag. Oh, love that. After receiving his hefty bag of sweets, Nathan indulged himself over 3 evenings post dinner, consuming a staggering total of 10,461 calories. Wow.
I'm not an expert, but that feels like a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of sugar. There's a lot of sugar in that. However, a day or two later, the father of one began experiencing excruciating stomach cramps. When his condition didn't improve, he scheduled a GP appointment. Like that, he's adulting. Fantastic. Well done, Nathan.
Yeah.
Questionable about whether eating that many sweets is adulting, but anyway. And upon noticing his skyrocketing blood pressure, excessive sweatings, and cramps, the doctor referred him to the hospital straight away and was just like, it's an emergency. Hospital staff initially suspected Nathan was suffering from severe food poisoning, but when tests showed high levels of gelatine in his system, he sheepishly admitted to his sweet binge. Gelatine, present in most gummy confectionery, can trigger bowel blockages when eaten in vast amounts, with some severe cases requiring surgical intervention. So, if any of our listeners or watchers are thinking, do you know what? I want to devour a 3 kilogram bag of sweets, specifically like gummy bears or cola bottles, think twice because you can get a gelatine overdose and it causes a blockage in your bowels and you have to have surgery. Who would have known? Who would have thought?
I just imagine that conversation and the whole kind of concept of it's like
Oh, yeah.
when the penny dropped, when he was told it was due to like gelatine, and he's there going, "Oh,
Yeah, about
mm."
that. You know those cola bottles in Haribo? Yeah, I love them so much that I devoured 10,000 calories worth.
Yeah, I
Three
can
nights.
sort of picture how that conversation went, and
Yeah.
he is fine from what we can tell.
Yes, he is fine. Yes. I think he wasn't that severe because it says in most severe cases require surgical intervention. I think they just probably gave him something to pass the system through his system and block the gelatine.
Mm.
But that must have been painful. Oof.
On that, happy.
Just quickly, I'm never gonna look at Haribo Cola bottles again after that. I think that's cured my obsession of them.
And we have done some good here today, folks. On that sweet note,
Ooh.
thank you for listening or watching till What's for Tea. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on your favourite podcast provider or find us on the YMCA Exeter YouTube channel. Catch you next time.
Bye.